Mark and his friends loved exploring the outdoors, always seeking new adventures. One weekend, they decided to camp in a remote forest known as the Whispering Woods. Locals warned them about strange occurrences and eerie whispers heard at night, but the group dismissed the stories as mere folklore. They set up camp and began exploring the dense forest. As night fell, the forest came alive with unsettling sounds and a sense of foreboding. The group was about to discover that the legends of the Whispering Woods were more real and more terrifying than they had ever imagined. As they sat around the campfire, sharing stories and roasting marshmallows, Mark heard faint whispers carried by the wind. He dismissed it as the rustling of leaves, but the whispers grew louder and more distinct. Curious, he wandered a short distance from the campfire, trying to pinpoint the source. To his horror, he saw shadowy figures moving among the trees, their whispers echoing through the forest. He rushed back to his friends, his heart pounding, and told them what he had seen. They laughed it off, but Mark couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Throughout the night, the whispers grew louder, and the shadowy figures drew closer. The group's laughter turned to nervous chatter as they huddled around the campfire, trying to ignore the growing sense of dread. Objects around the campsite began to move on their own, and the temperature dropped suddenly. Mark's friend, Lisa, felt a cold hand brush against her arm, leaving her shaken. They decided to stay awake, keeping the fire burning bright. But the whispers continued, relentless and unnerving. Mark knew they had to leave the forest, but it was too late to navigate through the dark woods safely. As dawn approached, the whispers finally subsided, but the group was exhausted and on edge. They decided to pack up and leave as soon as possible. On their way back to the trailhead, they encountered an old man who lived nearby. He warned them that the Whispering Woods were cursed, haunted by the spirits of those who had died tragically within the forest. He advised them to perform a cleansing ritual to protect themselves from the lingering spirits. Desperate to end their nightmare, they followed his instructions, gathering herbs and performing the ritual at the edge of the forest. The ritual involved burning specific herbs and chanting an ancient incantation to ward off the spirits. As they performed the ritual, the forest seemed to grow still, the oppressive atmosphere lifting slightly. They felt a sense of peace wash over them, but Mark couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The old man reassured them that the spirits would no longer harm them, but warned them never to return to the Whispering Woods. Grateful for his help, the group hurried back to their cars, eager to leave the forest and its haunting whispers behind. Back in the safety of their homes, Mark and his friends struggled to forget their terrifying experience. The whispers haunted their dreams, and they often woke up in a cold sweat. They decided to share their story, hoping to warn others about the dangers of the Whispering Woods. Their tale spread quickly, and the forest became a place of legend, avoided by locals and travelers alike. Mark and his friends found solace in knowing they had survived, but the memory of the shadowy figures and eerie whispers would stay with them forever. Mark's experience taught him the importance of respecting local legends and the unknown. He realized that some places are best left undisturbed, and that curiosity can sometimes lead to danger. The ordeal brought his group of friends closer, bonding them through their shared trauma. They became more cautious and respectful of the natural world, always seeking permission and guidance before venturing into unfamiliar territories. Mark often reflected on the old man's warning and the power of the spirits that had haunted them, understanding that some mysteries are better left unsolved. Mark's story is a reminder to respect the unknown and heed the warnings of those who understand it. The Whispering Woods remain a place of mystery and fear, but Mark and his friend's tale serves as a cautionary lesson. Remember, the world is full of hidden dangers and unseen forces that we may not fully understand. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and respect the boundaries of the unknown. Let's move on to our next eerie tale, but don't forget, every story holds a lesson for those willing to listen. Tom and his friends were urban explorers, fascinated by abandoned buildings and the stories they held. One night, they decided to explore an old abandoned asylum on the outskirts of town. The asylum had a dark history of mistreatment and mysterious deaths, making it the perfect spot for a night of exploration. They entered the crumbling building, armed with flashlights and cameras, eager to document their adventure. Little did they know, the asylum was not as empty as it seemed. The horrors they encountered would haunt them long after they left its decaying halls. As they wandered through the dark, labyrinthine corridors, Tom felt an unsettling presence. The air was thick with the smell of decay, and the walls were covered in eerie graffiti. In the distance, they heard faint whispers and the sound of footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Tom brushed it off as the building settling, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. When they entered a dilapidated ward, they saw shadowy figures moving in the darkness. They froze, their hearts pounding, as the figures disappeared into thin air. Tom knew they were not alone in the asylum. The deeper they ventured into the asylum, the more unsettling the atmosphere became. Doors slammed shut on their own, and cold spots sent shivers down their spines. They heard faint cries and laughter, as if the building was alive with the echoes of its tragic past. Tom's friend Alex felt a cold hand brush against his neck, leaving him visibly shaken. They decided to leave, but the way out seemed to twist and turn, as if the building itself was trying to keep them inside. Panic set in as they realized they were trapped in the haunted asylum. Desperate to escape, Tom and his friends contacted a local paranormal investigator known for his expertise in haunted locations. He agreed to help them, arriving at the asylum with his equipment. The investigator quickly confirmed the presence of numerous spirits, trapped and tormented by the asylum's dark history. He explained that the spirits were drawn to the energy of the living and needed to be released. Tom and his friends were terrified, but determined to end the haunting. The investigator prepared a cleansing ritual to free the trapped souls and allow them to move on. The investigator set up his equipment and began the ritual, chanting ancient incantations to cleanse the asylum of its malevolent energy. As the ritual progressed, the building seemed to come alive, the walls vibrating with a low hum. The temperature dropped, and the shadowy figures appeared again, drawn to the energy of the ritual. With a final, powerful chant, the investigator released the trapped spirits, who disappeared with a mournful wail. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the asylum fell silent. Tom and his friends felt an overwhelming sense of relief, knowing the spirits were finally at peace. With the spirits released, the asylum was no longer a place of terror. Tom and his friends left, vowing never to return. The experience had shaken them to their core, but they found comfort in knowing they had helped the trapped souls find peace. They shared their story with the paranormal investigator, who documented the events and added the asylum to his list of cleansed locations. Tom and his friends became more cautious in their urban explorations, always researching the history of a place before entering. They knew the risks of disturbing the past and respected the boundaries of the unknown. Tom's experience taught him the importance of understanding and respecting the history of abandoned places. He realized that some buildings hold more than just memories. They can harbor the spirits of those who suffered within their walls. The ordeal brought his group of friends closer, bonding them through their shared experience. They became advocates for respectful exploration, sharing their story to warn others about the dangers of urban exploring without proper knowledge. Tom often reflected on the investigators' words and the power of the spirits they had encountered, understanding that some mysteries are better left undisturbed. Tom's story is a cautionary tale about the hidden dangers of urban exploration and the importance of respecting the past. The abandoned asylum, once a place of torment, is now at peace thanks to their efforts. Remember, the world is full of places that hold dark secrets and unseen forces. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and always respect the boundaries of the unknown. Let's move on to our next chilling tale. But don't forget, every story holds a lesson for those willing to listen. When Lisa inherited her grandmother's old house, she was excited to start a new chapter in her life. The house was charming, with its creaky floors and vintage decor. However, the attic was a different story. From the moment she moved in, Lisa felt uneasy about the attic, avoiding it as much as possible. Strange noises and cold drafts emanated from above, making her increasingly anxious. One night, she decided to face her fears and investigate. What she discovered in the attic would change her life forever. Lisa climbed the narrow staircase to the attic, flashlight in hand. The air grew colder with each step, and her heart pounded in her chest. As she reached the top, she saw a shadowy figure standing in the corner, its eyes glowing with a sinister light. She froze, unable to move, as the figure slowly approached her. Suddenly, the attic door slammed shut, and the figure vanished. Lisa stumbled back down the stairs, shaken and terrified. She knew she couldn't ignore the attic any longer. She needed to uncover its secrets. The days following her encounter were filled with unexplainable events. Objects moved on there, and Lisa often heard whispers calling her name. She felt a cold presence watching her, and the nightmares began, dark visions of the shadowy figure lurking in her attic. Determined to find answers, Lisa researched her grandmother's past. She discovered that her grandmother had dabbled in the occult, and the attic was rumored to be a place for dark rituals. Lisa's fear deepened as she realized that the figure might be a spirit tied to her grandmother's practices. Feeling overwhelmed, Lisa reached out to a local paranormal investigator. The investigator arrived, equipped with tools to communicate with spirits. He sensed a powerful energy in the attic and warned Lisa about the dangers of meddling with the unknown. Together, they ascended to the attic, and the investigator set up his equipment. As they began to communicate with the spirit, the air grew thick with tension. The figure appeared again, but this time it didn't vanish. Instead, it reached out, as if trying to convey a message. Lisa's heart raced as she tried to decipher its intentions. The investigator believed the spirit was trapped, seeking closure for something unresolved. He prepared a cleansing ritual to help the spirit find peace. They gathered items that belonged to Lisa's grandmother, hoping to connect with the spirit's past. As they performed the ritual, the shadowy figure became more agitated, swirling around them. The investigator chanted ancient incantations, and Lisa felt a surge of energy in the room. Suddenly, the figure stopped and pointed to a trunk in the corner of the attic, urging them to open it. Lisa's heart raced as she approached the trunk, unsure of what to expect. With trembling hands, Lisa opened the trunk, revealing her grandmother's old belongings, journals, trinkets, and photographs. Among the items, she found a journal detailing her grandmother's dark rituals and the spirits she had tried to summon. One entry mentioned a spirit named Samuel who had been bound to the house. As Lisa read the journal, she realized that her grandmother had inadvertently trapped Samuel's spirit during a ritual gone wrong. Understanding the spirit's story, Lisa felt a mix of sympathy and fear. She knew they had to help him move on and end the cycle of torment. The investigator guided Lisa through the final steps of the ritual, encouraging her to express her compassion for Samuel. As she spoke to the spirit, she felt a wave of emotion wash over her. The shadowy figure began to soften, its features becoming more human. With one final chant, the investigator released Samuel's spirit, and Lisa felt a profound sense of relief. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the attic transformed into a place of warmth and light. Lisa knew she had helped a lost soul find peace, and she felt grateful for the experience. Lisa's story is a reminder of the power of understanding and compassion, even towards the unseen. By confronting her fears and helping Samuel's spirit find closure, she transformed her grandmother's attic from a place of terror to one of healing. Remember, the unknown can hold dark secrets, but with empathy and courage, we can bring light to even the darkest corners. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and never underestimate the power of compassion. But don't forget, every story holds a lesson for those willing to listen.